get you right. Creating life. It's a beautiful life. With Coach Mike, he'll get you right. Creating life.
Welcome to the Realtor Life Podcast, a part of B&D TV's weekly lineup. I am your host, Michael G. Davis, broker and CEO of Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm, also a realtor and business coach. Thank you for joining us today. We have another phenomenal guest lined up for you on our special edition of the Realtor Life Podcast. But before we bring them on, I want to remind you that we are streaming live to the Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm business Facebook and YouTube channels. So for those of you all tuning in live, we invite you to participate in the live chat in the show. Share your comments and questions. Your engagement means a lot to us. Now, if you have any real estate needs, whether it's buying a new home, selling your current property, or even considering a career in real estate, maybe you're exploring a new brokerage opportunity, stick around after the show for a special message tailored just for you. Now, let's get to the exciting part. There's a particular reason that we had to get this person inserted into our schedule because we have some phenomenal news that we're going to launch that we want to share with our audience about what's coming down the pipeline. We have an amazing event that's happening down here in Houston, April 30th. It's about a program, a product, and I wanted you all to hear straight from the person's mouth that's come up with this brilliant idea to help give more people access to the dream of home ownership. So without further delay, I'm delighted to introduce to you our very special guest. I'm bringing to the stage, he is a CEO. He's been in the mortgage business for years. He's a genius. I'll bring to the stage Mr. Keith Webster with Apex Mortgage.
Hey, Mike, Coach Mike, how are you, sir?
I am doing amazing, Keith. So super excited to have you here today. Before we dive into it, Keith, I always like to take a moment to share the motivation behind this show. You know, with 20 plus years of experience in the real estate industry, I've noticed that real estate professionals like yourself aren't always appreciated as they should be. Clients, customers, even sometimes our colleagues tend to overlook the fact that we are people too, people with our own passions and multifaceted personalities. So we created the Realtor Life Podcast. We created this platform to give real estate professionals the opportunity to showcase their diverse interests and talents beyond real estate. And along the way, we also offer a bit of coaching to help everyone succeed. Now, today is a very special episode because we really want to expose to them a very powerful product that real estate professionals and consumers can take advantage of. Now, I'm sure our audience is going to want to connect with you after the interview. Where can they find you on social media to learn more?
Thanks, Mike, for that. It's Keith Webster, Facebook, Instagram. Look up apexmortgagegroup.com or .net rather. And Derek Matz is the IT marketing director there. He typically has us all over it. If you Google my name, Keith Webster, Apex Mortgage, you'll typically find me on any platform.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So look, man, thank you for sharing that with us, Keith. Now, this is how I want to frame the conversation, right? First, let's start off with you telling people a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the mortgage industry, so they understand where this information is coming from and why the need for what you all have put together down there at Apex. Let's start there.
I've been in the mortgage industry for 29 years. I owned Apex Mortgage for 11 years, the first go around. Then I went into C-suite and helped other mortgage companies grow. I found an affinity in helping build wealth through home ownership for diverse and disparate markets when I was at Altera Home Loans. Altera Home Loans is a predominantly Latino-owned company with predominantly Latino loan officers. So I learned a lot about the struggles within the Latino markets, and I brought the African-American portion of that. And then we added women and other disparate markets. Throughout that process, I was there for 5-6 years. I built a strong relationship with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD, who got behind my legacy division. And so anytime you see legacy, you see that portion of building wealth for those disparate markets. While at Altera Home Loans, if anyone has heard of the Chenoa Down Payment Assistance Program, we helped launch that product, which was a DPA that the entire industry used for down payment assistance. Well, that Chenoa product came from a tribal entity. And in that tribal entity, with that tribal entity, I was able to learn a lot about what they were afforded through the Constitution, which normal citizens don't have, and how that can be applied to the mortgage industry will bring more people into home ownership. From that, you heard of companies called Trio and other companies that came about that didn't quite do it right. One of the minority owners at Chenoa broke off from there, sold his shares for a good amount of money, and then decided that he was going to do it a little bit better. And of course, he consulted some partners that he was familiar with. And I'm fortunate enough to, be in that wheelhouse. So all of last year, I was having meetings and talking about this product that we're going to speak on here to make sure that it was, nothing's ever perfect, but as perfect as you can get when it comes to bringing more people to home ownership without any gotchas in the process.
So let me ask you this, Keith. Like, you've been in it close to 30 years. You've been in, so you understand where the gaps are when it comes to financing for people.
Yes.
Right. So, before we talk about the product, what are some of the gaps that you've seen, in the past, or maybe that are kind of coming down the pipeline that, once we start talking about this product, we'll see how they're going to plug those gaps. Could we start there?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Affordability is one big issue, especially in today's market. The price of homes have risen in many markets to a place where people cannot afford the same house they could 4 or 5 years ago. You also have our typical guidelines that, play that most people aren't familiar with because they don't do this for a living. But, you have bankruptcies that are filed that have not been seasoned for a certain time. You have, different, late scenarios and different categories that involve federal debt. You have things that require somebody to have to wait. And, the waiting is what we're trying to resolve here. Instead of buying a year later, 6 months later, 2 years later, the more time that you wait, the more equity that you lose. That same house that's $400,000 today is $450,000 this time next year, right? You just lost $50,000 in equity. So we wanted to come with a solution that help have some grace in some of the guidelines and some of those gaps that you're speaking about, to put people in an equitable position now instead of having to wait.
I love it, man. Okay, so let's jump into a little bit about the product, right? And I know you're going to be coming down here in Houston. We're putting an event together. We're going to be hosting you. So we really Houston market to get behind what you're doing with it. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So what is it really all about, Keith?
All right. So what we have is we have a tribal entity, which means a Native American tribe, okay, that has a handshake with the Federal Housing Authority, FHA. Right? And so this is based on FHA guidelines, 3.5% down, et cetera, to where the tribe, in essence, allow yourself to play in this model here. The tribe goes to FHA and says, hey, we have ideas about using our affordability and special interest to help bring people on the path to home ownership. And FHA definitely understands the power behind that because 25% of the U.S. economy is based in real estate and mortgage. And so the more people who are in home ownership, the stronger our U.S. economy is. Right. So, but of course, those who have done FHA loans or have been associated with an FHA loan, you would understand, just like with the VA, FHA goes and stretches to a point to protect the homeowner. So whether it be an appraisal or other situations, we make sure that the homeowner is safe and secure and there are no gotchas in their particular situation. So FHA challenges the tribe to say, hey, how do we secure, the same sense of urgency for our clients that we do with FHA? How can you secure that same thing in using the tribal program? So we're going to have a bunch of questions for you, Mr. and Mrs. Tribe. And we want you to make sure you satisfy these answers. And so some of those would be like, how do you assess risk, right? Do you have a debt to income ratio requirement? What are your guidelines, et cetera? And so we had to cross all T's and dot all I's in that area. So where the typical FHA loan on standard would be a 50% debt to income ratio, we go up to 60% with the tribe.
Wow.
Where you have to have seasoned funds in the bank account, and you have to source deposits in your normal loan transaction. We don't care where the money is coming from. Really, we're not sourcing it, and nor is there a seasoning requirement. Where there's a 2-year seasoning requirement on bankruptcies or foreclosures, or 3 years of foreclosures or whatever, it can be same day. So same day closing, the bankruptcy can be discharged.
Wow.
The two key things that we care the most about is rental history, and that the client actually has the cash to buy the house. Now, we're going to talk about that a little bit more detail later. But I really want to give your audience the concept of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we speak on this, people tend to gravitate towards a lease purchase or a contract for deed. And this is not that. Okay. The title of this program is Legacy Dream Builder, but it is what we call an earned equity program. Okay. It's concentrated on that earned equity part. That legally, if a person has skin in the game, and the lender chooses to give up what we call the due on sale clause, that allows a transaction to be done between two people, one not being on title or on the deed of the property, with the lender's permission to do so, does not violate what you call a due on sale clause. In most transactions, people sometimes try to make deals away from the lender, and the lender has the right to call that loan due if they find out about it, because it's an illegal transaction.
Right.
In this particular case, there's a document signed at closing that allows the leasee to have full access to the equity of the house day one. So in order to have that access, they have to have skin in the game, right? Now, think about this like this. The tribe is not going to spend tribal money to buy someone's house, okay? The tribe is going to receive the money from the leasee that is needed to buy the house through the title company in replacement for money that they would use from the tribe for the purchase. That money that goes into the investment is and belongs to the leasee day one. So the 3.5% down payment they put down goes towards equity of that house, right? The closing costs that are necessary for the house has to be negotiated the same way it would be on any contract between the seller and the buyer, but the leasee is responsible for the portion not covered by the seller. Okay. The only additional part that has to be covered is the lease payment for the first month's rent. Okay, so at the closing table, the leasee comes to the closing table with, of course, that money, and they have to sign 2 documents, and that's it. One is the lease agreement. One is the earned equity agreement. Both of those documents are recorded at the courthouse by the title company on the same day. Okay? We're making sure that the title companies are approved for this program. We don't allow any title company to participate in this program because there's a lot of responsibility they have in protection of the leasee. Right. They need to make sure that that document is recorded at the courthouse that gives that leasee access to the home ownership equity in the house. Okay. So $50,000 in equity in that house, the purchase agreement that exists that day will be the same purchase agreement that exists 2 or 3 years ago when and if they buy the house from the tribe. Okay? It doesn't go up, or it's not established on the appraised value at the time they decide to buy. It is in stone from the day that they sign their lease agreement. So if $50,000 or $100,000 of equity is built up into that house by the time they decide to buy from the tribe, all that money belongs to that person.
Yeah. So again, and what you're talking about, Keith, is it's not a lease purchase or a lease to own. It's an earned equity program.
That's right.
And because, when you think about Texas and they get a little, when it comes to the legislature and their legislature around lease purchases, right? I'm assuming you've obviously, if you're going to introduce something into a market, you've already done the research. And with that verbiage and with how you all are operating this, it doesn't run up against the legislature as it relates to lease purchases, I'm assuming, here in the state of Texas.
Well, not at all, because it's not a lease purchase, right? And that's what we're doing. We're doing plenty of them right now in El Paso area. This is really big with the Latino demographic, because a lot of times you've heard of the I-10 programs and other special programs that allow non-documented workers to buy homes.
Right.
this is that perfect product for them because a lot of them have mattress money, for example.
Right.
A lot of them have to put 30% down to buy that house with that particular program. But when you use this tribal program, they only have to bring the 3.5%. And we're not seasoning that money, that's mattress money. We don't care where it's coming from. After being in this house for a year, we can actually use the equity in the house to refinance the client into ownership of this house. We don't have to do a straight purchase. So where someone might have to use a bank statement program to buy the house later from the tribe, or like we said, an I-10 program, that requires a significant down payment. In this particular case, that's offset by the equity that's earned in the house that we can use the appraised value to actually refinance the house into the ownership of that person's name.
Wow. And that's even without that person's name being on title?
Exactly.
Do that?
See,
Wow.
that's what that earned equity agreement is for, right? So think about how we used to do the contract for deed, Mike, or even a lease purchase, right? We can use the equitable position to refinance a lease purchase situation in someone's house as well. But the earned equity is even more powerful than that.
Wow. So Keith, I mean, you said you're already doing these things, right? And you spoke a little bit about the Latino community. If you had to create an avatar or profile, like I'm a real estate professional and I'm looking for people that would be a perfect fit for something like this, what does that typically look like? What are the characteristics of that person's circumstances typically?
All right. So we need to. So let's partition this. We have the leasee of getting qualified to be a part of the program, just like you would have a renter trying to rent a house with a management company. They need to be approved to rent that house, right? So the first stage is getting them approved to be a part of the program with the tribe. So to answer your question, we need at least one credit score with a 580, and it can be a soft pull credit report.
Okay.
It does not have to
so
be
it doesn't have to be your mid score.
No.
Just one of your scores has to be a 580.
Right. And if it's close but not quite there, we do make exceptions. Exceptions typically come with reserves, right? The debt to income ratio, the gross amount of money divided into the total monthly debt post being in the house, cannot exceed 60%. Now, we've done debt to income ratios to 63, 64%. We do make exceptions. We can talk about that at a different timeline. However, looking for a 580 score, you're looking for the cash to close. So you cannot do a DPA program on this product. Remember that the leasee or our client is not our borrower once we get a contract. The tribe is.
Yeah. So you got to have a certain amount of money. So you at least have to have the 3%. Closing costs are roughly running about what these days, Keith? Is it a percentage or is it a set amount?
I would say about 10 to 12 grand, but a lot of times we're having the seller pay for that.
Okay. So the 3%, we'll say 3 to 8% is what the person would need to.
I would say typically 3.5%, 4%, right? Of your purchase price. Think about it like that, because you're also going to, if you have an average of $400,000 sale, now the tribe is going to charge 1% of the purchase price and put it on the title as a silent lien. That's a big portion of how the tribe makes money. So at the time that the leasee buys the house from the tribe, that lien has to be paid off. So the tribe makes income. Gotcha.
Okay, so 580, at least one score is 580. DTI needs to be under 60. I need to have about 4 to 5% of the purchase price cash to be able to qualify. What else? Any other things that typically fit this mold?
I mean, really, if you have those things, you're a new homeowner. So we get you approved with the tribe. We issue you a pre-qualification letter. You take your borrower to find the house of their dreams the way you typically would in a normal transaction. It is not a select amount of houses that's up for rent that you have to choose from. You get to go choose whatever house in the country that you would like to buy. Okay, let's just speak on Texas, right? That you would like to buy, and then you get a contract on the house. Once you get the contract on the house, that contract needs to be assigned to the tribe. Okay, and then once it's assigned to the tribe takes over the deal. And for your seller, that's a guaranteed closing.
Right.
So there's no question on whether the tribe can close the loan or not.
Because for people that are not familiar with the depth of wealth that these tribes have, like how much cash access do these individuals have access to fund a program like this?
More than a few hundred million. Okay.
More than a few hundred million, huh?
More than a few hundred million. Yes.
Wow.
I know that particularly on this tribe here. So
yeah,
for sure.
So, and what triggers a person buying it from the tribe? So, like the tribe has now got this person, you know, they're connected, they have this earned equity opportunity that they're tied to. What triggers that person to go and now at this point either refinance out of it or purchase it from the tribe?
Well, let's start with this question: how long does the person have to buy the home from the tribe?
Yeah,
right? They have 10 years. Okay.
Right.
And so what triggers them, of course, or what motivates them to stay top of mind in this is that their rental payment is going to be significantly higher than a mortgage payment. Same way as if you were out renting a home right now, you would rather be owning it because that rental payment is going to be higher and it's not benefiting you, right? So there's no tax deduction for this person, for our leasee. They do have the equity, but they don't have the tax benefit. And let's say that their rental payment may be a few $100s higher than it would be if they own the property right out. But what are their two options, Michael? They can rent on the regular market, or they can have the earned equity program renting for about the same amount and have gained 50, 60, 70,000 in equity in one swipe.
Yeah. I got you. Well, man. Well, look, so you're coming down here on the 30th, right? We're going to get you in a room full of realtors and individuals that can really take what you all are doing and spread it throughout our state. Right.
Let me allow your agents to really feel this, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm passionate on this. Okay.
We need to get them in the room, Keith.
Yeah. So if you like money, you need to be in this room. It's really that simple.
Okay, give me more. Give us more.
How many files do you work with your lender partners with that don't go through or don't qualify? Right? That you've worked hard in the relationship building with the person to get them to a point to fill out the application, just to hear that maybe soon, but not yet, for whatever reason the loan officer might tell you. Right? We are cutting that attrition more than 70%. Those loss of loans out of your pipelines are being closed right now. We're doubling people's pipelines, not just when it comes to real estate agents and loan officers, but when it comes to title agencies as well. A lot of the loans that are being lost are being recaptured and closed. The commissions for the agents are still the same as it would be on any typical deal, right?
Yeah.
You've now taken someone that you would be looking for a rental property for a few $100s, right? And you're getting them into the joy of home ownership for full commission.
Yeah.
Right. It's really a no-brainer.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So Keith, if I had somebody like right outside my office that was ready to go, what would my next step be? Like, is there a link or a website, or are you bringing that with you on the 30th?
I'm definitely bringing all that with me on the 30th, but
okay.
You would go through the typical process. Most of your agents, have worked with us.
Can you improve that flyer real quick for me? Thank you.
Most of I'm
At
sorry.
At least you know you working.
Thank you very much for that. But you would go through the typical process that we go through on a normal loan, to where we have them fill out our application. And through that application, I will then start to pre-qualify them, get you a pre-qualification letter by way of the tribe. Okay. So it's not a lot of knee-jerk different process that we would use, that we typically use when we work together, whether it be us and you, or whether somebody else that you are accustomed to working with does. They'll fill out the application. We'll issue a pre-qualification letter. You'll find a house. You'll sign the contract to the tribe. Okay. And then you'll be closing in 3 weeks to 30 days.
I love it, man. So if a person doesn't, because we're going to be, obviously we're putting the marketing, we'll have the location. We're going to push that out through the brokerage firm, throughout the city, to get people in the room, right? If a person doesn't participate in this, they must don't like money, Keith.
Yeah, Mike, you said it for me. They just don't like it. Let me tell you how much, Michael. Mike, we have our production manager, Chris Marshall, which, Mike, Chris.
Absolutely.
Chris, 10, 12, 15 referrals in one day, just on the tribe.
Wow.
Okay. I'm having to hire a few more processors this week. because it's more than we can handle right now.
Wow, y'all maxed out at capacity already?
We are.
Wow.
We are really stretched, and it's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
It means that there's a demand for this.
Right.
And it's working, and people are excited to see the testimonies and hear the testimonies about it.
I love to hear that, man. All right, well, look, Keith, before we wrap up, I'd like to really express my gratitude. You've been an incredible guest. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights, especially about the Legacy Home Builder Program, man. Your presence has really made the episode truly special. Finally, before we say goodbye, man, do you have any parting words or advice that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Don't just sit back and wait for things to happen. Right? People who make money, they make things happen. Yeah. And it's a belly to many environment today. It's not a belly to belly environment any longer. So, have a message that has purpose to it and that brings value to people, and be able to spread that out widely. And that's really my advice for today. And that's what this product is about. We're trying to shake up the market for the benefit of everybody.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, man, that's it, man. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, Keith. Looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks down here in the city.
Look, if you all like money and you're with Brooks and Davis or not, you better be at the Brooks and Davis event when I get there. Right? It's really that simple. If Michael, whoever doesn't show, you need to reevaluate their employment with you.
I need to release them. And look, here's a term that I just recently learned. I need to release them back into the marketplace.
That's it. Do them and you a favor. They can't show up to this. They don't like money.
I love it. I love
you, brother. I love your family. And I appreciate you today and always. Thank you so much for your time. Let's get it.
Absolutely, brother. We'll see you soon. Thank you, my man.
All right. Peace out. Thank you.
All right. So that's it, people. Look, that's a wrap for this episode of the Realtor Life Podcast. We hope you really enjoyed it. We wanted to come in and, because we're going to be having Keith down here in a couple of weeks, give an opportunity and a platform to really give you a taste of what this Legacy Home Builder Program is all about and how it can take your business not only to another level where you're making more money, but also to where you can help more people. You can have a greater impact in your career, right? If you have a real estate need, like looking to buy a house or putting your house on the market for sale, maybe you're interested in a career in real estate or looking for a change in brokerage, remember to stay on after the show for a very special message. Again, join us next time for more engaging discussions with amazing real estate professionals. And remember, stay tuned after the show for this special message. I am Michael G. Davis, broker and CEO of Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm, also a realtor and business coach. Here's to coaching you into the cosmos, baby. It's time to take off. Have a great one.
Hey there, if you're in the midst of a real estate journey, whether you're buying, selling, getting licensed, or already licensed, this video is just for you. I've got some outstanding news to share, so stick around. Considering buying a home? We're here to help. We offer, at no cost or commitment, to schedule a showing for any property in the Houston Metroplex. When you choose our firm, we'll be with you every step of the way, guiding you through the process. Want to learn more? Visit our website or give us a call at the number shown. If you're thinking about selling your home, we've got some great services to offer, again at no cost or commitment. We can provide a free neighborhood buying and selling activity report, showing you the recent market activity in your area. We also offer a free in-person property condition home evaluation, where one of our professionals will provide recommendations to help sell your home faster and for more money. When you choose our firm to sell your home, we'll ensure it reaches more active home buyers than any other realtor. To learn more about this, visit our website or give us a call at the number shown. Real estate agents. Are you ready to take your career to new heights with a brokerage that puts you first? At Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm, we offer something no one else does, a powerful money-back guarantee. We believe in our support so much that if you don't close a transaction within 90 days, we'll refund every dollar you've paid to us. And if a year goes by and you still haven't closed, we'll even refund your payments to HAR, MLS, and Supra. Your success is our priority. At Brooks & Davis, you're not just joining a brokerage, you're becoming part of a community that's dedicated to your growth. Whether you're a licensed agent ready to elevate your career, or you're on your way to earning your license, we've got a place for you. Even if you are not a Brooks & Davis real estate agent, you can unlock the full potential of your real estate career by becoming a part of our free membership. Join our supportive family where you can grow, innovate, and be recognized. Embrace diversity as we reshape real estate with impactful solutions for all communities. Make a difference by engaging in local initiatives for a brighter future. Elevate your education beyond transactions and prepare for success, including taking the real estate exam. Enjoy accessibility and easy collaboration within our vibrant real estate community. And here's the best part, it won't cost you a dime. The only investment required is your time, the rest is on the house. Are you ready to soar? Join us now and let's make your real estate journey unforgettable. If you already have a real estate license, we invite you to explore the World Changers community. And if you're in the process of obtaining or interested in getting your real estate license, discover the exclusive opportunities waiting for you with the Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm Student Affiliate Membership. Visit the link on the screen today.